Guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing and discussing the Reckoner series by Brandon Sanderson. This is one of my favorite series in progress currently. It is so good. I don't have anything negative to say about it except that it is, I don't have more. I want more. Obviously this is going to be a positive review because I'm already just obsessing over it and I haven't even told you anything about it. But I am going to briefly talk about Steelheart. So if you haven't read either of these books, you need to. So 10 years previous to the start of this book, this burst of light appeared in the sky, this red dot. And following this burst in the sky, humans started to develop powers, superpowers. Unnatural powers, and they refer to them as epics in this world. And epics are no friend or superhero or good guy. They are tyrants. They take over cities. They are rulers. They feel that they are in a class above everybody else because they have these wonderful powers. And in what used to be known as Chicago, it is now called New Chicago. This epic named Steelheart rises to power and installs himself as emperor, and he is known to have the strength of 10 men. He can't be harmed by no bullet or blade or any weapon known to man. He is basically this all-powerful, invincible tyrant. Nobody fights back against him except for this band of people called the Reckoners. The Reckoners are a group of ordinary humans who spend their lives studying the epics, learning about them and their weaknesses and trying to take them down, and the main character David wants to be a part of it, desperately. 10 years ago when Steelheart came to Chicago, Steelheart killed David's father, and David has something the Reckoners desperately need, and it's not a weapon to take down Steelheart, it's an experience. He's actually seen Steelheart bleed. That's really all I'm going to say about the plot, because I don't want to give anything away, but this book was fantastic. I loved everything about this book, and that's kind of the basic history or concept of this story. So if you haven't read Firefight or Steelheart, you need to leave because I'm about to spoil all of Firefight for you because I want to talk about it. This book was so good. It made me hold my breath. It made me laugh out loud. It made me pull out my hair. I was like furiously turning to every other page because I just wanted to know what happened. I so desperately wanted to have all of my questions answered, and I like flew through this book because it was just enthralling and gripping and so good. Go read Steelheart, go read Firefight, and then you can come back and we can talk about how much wonderfulness this series has. It starts off with this really fun battle fight scene between David and a new epic in Chicago. His name was Sourcefield, and that was really fun. I mean, this book started off on a bang. I mean, it brought action and it brought it hard, first and foremost. And then after they defeated Sourcefield, he leaves kind of a calling card from this epic in Babylon Restored, which used to be Manhattan. So in this book, we travel to New Babylon Restored with Prof, David, and Tia take out the ruling emperor of Babylon. Her name is Regalia. She is an epic who can control water, and when she took over Manhattan, she rose all of the water ocean around it and sunk the city. While they're in this new city, they come in contact with new epics who have really cool powers and who I think are even more powerful and stronger than the ones from Steelheart. They're even more dangerous and more deadly, and I loved them. I thought they were super fascinating to read about. I love that Brandon Sanderson is such a wonderful writer that he can create these horrendous metaphors for David. Only a wonderful, talented writer can write such bad metaphors. Like, you can see David's inner dialogue and him thinking that metaphor was terrible, and then when people would make good metaphors, he'd be like, oh, man, that was so good. I wish I would have came up with that myself. And he's just funny, and we get these hilarious, awkward sentences when he does say things, and I really love it. I loved the whole thing when he is talking to Megan and telling her that she is a potato in a minefield. You're like a potato in a minefield. A potato? That's the best you can do. Seriously. It makes sense. Listen, you're strolling through a minefield worried about getting blown up, and then you step on something and you think, I'm dead. But it's just a potato, and you're so relieved to find something so wonderful when you expect something so awful. That's what you are to me. A potato. Sure, French fries, mashed potatoes. Who doesn't like potatoes? Plenty of people. Why can't it be something sweet, like a cake? Because cake wouldn't grow in a minefield. Obviously. Idiot, thought to myself. Romantic. You were supposed to be romantic, you swans. Potatoes weren't romantic. I should have gone with a carrot. I loved that. I was dying. I thought that was so funny. And then when he's talking about how ketchup is the best but worst hair gel, that's the answer, in the same way that ketchup can be hair gel. That was really funny too. I liked that. Oh, the whole, like, how he's talking about lions being orange, and the girl's like, lions are tannish. Well, trust me, I'm more intense than I look. I'm intense like a lion is orange. So, like, medium intense, since a lion is kind of a tannish color? No, they're orange. Aren't they? I've never actually seen one. I think tigers are orange ones, but they're still only half orange since they have black stripes. Maybe you should be intense like an orange is orange. Too obvious. I'm intense like a lion is tannish. Did that work? Didn't exactly slip off the tongue. And I just thought that was so funny. I loved all of those, like, comedic things. I was laughing out loud. It was so funny. Also, I really enjoyed the world building that Sanderson did in this novel. I really wasn't expecting to learn so much about epics and where they came from and how they were created, how they manifested their powers, the origin of the random weaknesses. I wasn't expecting to learn all that stuff in this book, but we did. And I thought that was so interesting the way that he did it. I liked that the weaknesses, which we previously thought in Steelheart were just random things, like Mitosis's weakness was rock music, but it was only his rock music, and it turns out that most of the time the weaknesses correlate to some kind of near-death experience they had in their life before they were turned into an epic. Megan, for example. Megan's weakness is fire because as a child she almost died in a fire. So that is her weakness. I also was really excited when we finally got to the world building because it started off on such a, like, action-packed bang, and then afterwards it kind of got a little slow for me. I really enjoyed the character of Megan, and I really liked her, like, the bickering and bantering between her and David, and she was often Babelar, and they couldn't find, like, she wasn't a main character initially in this book, and I really missed her. I really liked her as a character. I liked her sass and her, like, just rudeness and the mean things she said. I just thought she was so funny, and I really liked her interactions with David. So when they finally found her and she was reintroduced into the story, then it really started to pick up for me, and I started to really enjoy it. And she actually gave us a lot of information about epics. She talked, like, we find out about weaknesses, and she was just, I was really excited when she finally came back into the story because, like I said, I really liked her. And I thought she had wonderful character development as well. She was one of the only epics that we saw that was trying to, like, she traveled to Babelar because Regalia was telling people that, hey, I can give you powers, you know, I can turn you into an epic. So Megan figured, if you can turn me into an epic, you can also take away my powers. And she didn't want to be an epic anymore because she didn't like what it was turning her into, because the more that epics use their powers, the more they feel they are above humans, and the less compassion they have for us. And she wanted to be with David, so I liked that she, from where she was in the first book, decided that she was going to go try to become a better person, and she actually wasn't using her powers for a majority of this book, because whenever she used them, they made her really careless and fidgety and rude and snippy, and she just kind of wanted to murder people whenever she used her powers. And I liked that she gave them up so that she could be with David, like she was trying to wrestle with them. I thought that was a really good development from her, because in the previous novel she betrayed all of the Reckoners for Steelheart. I also thought it was really cool that we find out what she actually is, because like I said, in Steelheart, we are told she's an illusionist, that she can create illusions. Actually, she doesn't create illusions, she pulls images from other realities into our reality. So she pretty much can like interweave different parallel worlds to create something that didn't happen in our reality, but it was happening in another reality. It's another possibility of what could happen. That was really cool. I thought that was a really intricate power compared to some of the other people. Like, that was a really cool twist on what she actually can do. I liked that. That was super cool. And that was just not at all what I expected, the direction I expected her powers to go in. I loved all of the action in the story. I thought it was really cool the way that like they used that jetpack and David got to like surf and do like aquatic ballet on the water with that. I really liked all those scenes with him trying to learn how to use that jetpack. It didn't just have like futuristic action, it also had good old-fashioned hand-to-hand combat. Like there was good old-fashioned punching people out, and there was the one epic who could teleport to different places, and he could take like you with him when he teleported. So when you were fighting him, he could just all of a sudden vanish and then reappear somewhere else. That was cool. And then he could absorb heat and energy, and he could set off like bombs when he released all of his energy. That's a terrifying power. I mean, he just would sit on rooftops and soak up the sunlight all day, and then in various cities just release all this energy that he had and destroy entire cities and kill hundreds of thousands of people. And then he comes to Babylon Restored, and they're all like, this is not a good thing. I really liked the arc of Dawn's Light. I thought he was really cool because initially in the beginning, he's just this legend that people kind of just made up to explain why all of the fruit was growing inside the buildings and why they had like a bioluminescent quality to it. Because in all the buildings in Babylon, there's like jungles. They're very humid. They're very rainforest atmospheres, how it's described. And the whole city kind of has this like glowing hue to it. They use paint and stuff. All the spray paint glows at night, and they spray paint their clothes, and I liked that. That was a cool image, and it just seemed like a highlighter neon paint party all the time is how I pictured this city, like a neon paint party all the time. But then we find out when David is lurking through one of the buildings, these fortune cookies start to appear out of all of these trees. Oh, that was so random, like a fortune cookie? Why that on a tree? Like, why not just a fruit? But he opens the fortune cookies, and they're notes from someone's thoughts, and he's like, this is really creepy. I'm being stalked by fortune cookies. And later on, it turns out that you can communicate with the fortune cookies, and if you ask just like a question, the fortune cookies will give you an answer, and it's Dawn's Light. Like, he's this kid in a coma, and subconsciously supports the city, and that was so cool. That was such a cool power. It sucks that he is comatose, and I wonder what his powers would be like if he wasn't. Like, is he comatose because of the powers? Or are his powers like that because he's like, what would they be like if he wasn't in a comatose state? Ooh, and also when Regalia tries to make David into an epic, and he goes up into the sky, and we learn that Calamity isn't this spaceship or this red dot. It's an actual epic that's hanging out in the sky. And we were led to believe that Calamity was like a spaceship or like an alien invasion, but it's an actual epic. So where did that epic even come from? Like, what is he? What is going on with that? Because Regalia has this alliance with him, and she brings ordinary people to him, and he gives them epic powers. That is so cool. So is he just like a really powerful gifter like Prof? Because Prof can gift away his powers. Is that what Calamity is? But then the scene where David is given powers and he rejects it, and he doesn't want that. Like, I thought that was cool. Like, why was he able... I feel like David might be something. I feel like he's not just like a regular human being, because how is he able to deny getting powers? Like, I thought that was an interesting arc for the next story. And we finally figure out at the end why Regalia has been recruiting Prof and trying to get him to come to the city so badly and forcing him to use his powers and all this stuff. It's not because she wants to destroy Manhattan, but when she passes away, because she's actually really sick, she's an older woman, she's dying of cancer, she's not going to be able to control the city much longer. She was molding Prof to be her successor. That's why she was forcing him to use his powers. And then he does use his powers, and he goes all like murderous crazy all over these people, and he's just not, like, David's like, that is not the same person. That is a man far beyond my realm of helping. I can't wait to see where that goes, how that plays out in the next book. How Prof, because he was so adamant about not wanting to give in to being evil, and then he does to save Babylon. Thought that was really an interesting twist. I wasn't expecting that at all. I love a book that makes me not only laugh, but puts me in suspense and makes me sad, because this book did make me sad in some parts as well. Like, I was really sad. Oh, when we thought that Megan died, that was so sad, because she finally tells David her weakness as like a way of trusting him, because the Reckoners are actively hunting her down to kill her, because she's been infiltrating them, and they think that she's tainting David's mind. And we want as readers obviously to believe that she's being truthful, and the Reckoners aren't so on board with that. David is totally, though. And she tells him her weakness over like their comm system. Prof hacked David's comm system, so he hears her weakness too as a trap for Megan to come meet David, and then sets the building on fire. And David goes running in, and he finds her, in this fire, and you're like, what the heck are you doing? You are not invincible. You cannot be reincarnated like she can. Even though if she was to die by fire, she would not be able to reincarnate. So he's running through this fire trying to find her. He finds her body. She's like half melted on one side because she's been in there for so long. And he rescues her, and he's crying, and he's so upset, and you're so upset, and you're just like, no, because in Steelheart, he goes through the emotions of her dying because he doesn't know yet that she can reincarnate herself. And you feel for him at that point, and then you feel for him again because you think she actually might have died by fire, and then he finds out that she set up a gun in a nearby window with a remote switch, and she shot herself with the gun before she was set on fire so that she would be able to reincarnate, just in case there were any funny business going on, because she didn't really trust the Rock. This book made me sad. I loved all of the epics. I thought Obliteration was super cool. He was really, really cool, but he was like super heartless, and the fact that he was like quoting Bible references at them and using religion to back up what he was doing, like those kind of people are even scarier, because he like firmly believed that what he was doing was right. And his powers were super cool, but I didn't like him. Newton, she could like deflect energy, so if she had any like bullets being shot at her or anything, she could deflect them and change the direction. I thought she was really cool too. I really liked her, and how her weakness was compliments. So to keep her subdued, Regalia and Obliteration would compliment her because it was her weakness. Basically, this book was perfect. It had humor, it had sass and sarcasm, and it was action-packed, and the world building was done really well, and it wasn't just like dumped on me, but I did get more information about this world, and I loved how it set up for the next book. with Prof and Megan and David, and I really can't wait to see where this goes. It's going to be a fantastic next book. I wonder if it's just a trilogy or if it's like a multiple book series. Is Calamity gonna be my last one? Because I'm going to be sad if it... My only complaint is that it wasn't longer. And I did have, after the initial battle with Sourcefield, I had some issues getting into the story. But like I said, once... Because we were doing some world building, we were transitioning like settings and setting up our new base in Babylon with the new Reckoner team that was already there and kind of getting caught up on what was happening. So it wasn't like super action-packed stuff happening, but I gave this book like a 5 stars. This was fantastic. So was Steelheart. Can't wait for Calamity to come out. If you had any other favorite parts or any other favorite quotes, or if anything else that you want to tell me, that like any of your thoughts about this book, just let me know in the comments down below so we can discuss and talk about this. Well, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I will talk to you guys really soon. Bye! Falling on the floor. I'm intense like a lioness, Danish. Wait on me, and I gotta love you, and I wanna love you no more. Step 3, Mizzy gets a cookie. I'm really hot. This time when she pointed at me, she'd flicked the safety on. If that wasn't true love, I don't know what was. I think it's snack time. What do y'all think? Snack time? I'm like that. A stupinator. Never say that word again. Sidekicks? Crew members? Aww, that has to be the sweetest way someone's ever told me they're planning to kidnap and imprison me, and has kept it in an eternal state of sunkenness. My name is David Charleston. I kill people with superpowers. Prof hawked. I'm pretty good at being me. I've had all these years to practice. I hardly ever get it wrong these days. Sitting up like this just so totally hurts my back. I mixed with ordinary people about the same way that a bucket of paint mixed with a bag of gerbils.